Welcome to the Business for London Writing for Your Website video. In this video we're going to look at what website copy is, how to use a keyword tool, writing tips and current Google requirements, planning the pages you'll need when you're creating your website content, and the types of content required. We're going to look at writing keyword optimized content for websites, which will help you come up faster in searches, adding links, using images and where to source them, and also some tools to monitor where you're ranking in searches. So website content, why is it important to have copy on your website? Well, you can't have an empty website. You want to be found faster in searches, so we write keyword optimized content. When people visit our websites, we want to generate trust and credibility. We want them to see us as industry experts. We want them to think, wow, these people really know what they're talking about. Even if they're referred to you from someone else. Even if a friend sends them to your website, for example, you still want them to think, I'm in the right place, I'm going to be in a safe pair of hands here. You want to be seen and known as an industry expert. And of course, ultimately, as people start to visit your website, you want to be the first company that they think of at the point at which they actually need to buy your products or services. Website copy is the main body of text on your website. And of course, your website copy should match what people are searching for, their intent. What exactly are they trying to solve? What do they need to buy? What do you have to solve their problems? Of course, you want people to come to your website and ultimately take some sort of action to buy. If it's a product, they may just put the product in the basket and check it out and buy it. If it's a service, they may get in touch with you, make an inquiry so that you can touch base with them and talk to them about how you can help them solve their problem. Typically, website copy refers to the content on your homepage, your about page, your service pages, and your product pages. When you're thinking about writing website copy, the first thing to do is define your purpose. We talk a lot about your target audience in marketing. Who are you selling to? What does your product or service do to help them solve their problems? You need to know your competitors. What are they doing? What are they doing well? What are they not doing so well? Are they losing customers? Is there an opportunity to succeed where your competitors aren't? Make it easy to navigate around your website. Don't make it too busy or too difficult to find what people are looking for. There should be clear calls to action, clear navigation, menus. And don't go for things out of the ordinary. If people call the blog or the news section, don't decide to call that specific part of your website something different. You want people to recognize where they will find the information that they're looking for. Now, writing about what we think is useful, or our past, or our experience, those things won't get your website found in searches. You need to know what people are searching for in order to find the products and services that you sell. Answer the Public is a great tool. I'm going to show you around that in a moment. Search Volume is another great tool. Search Volume, I'll just show you that one first. You simply type in the keywords that you think people are searching for, one per line. You can add up to 800 here, I believe. Yep, 800 lines. And of course, depending on the location where you're selling, you're going to want to see what searches are taking place in that particular country. So if I was looking at the United Kingdom, I might do something like this. I may go over to Google and I may search for what I do. I might put in something like a search for family photographer. And then when I come to my Google search, I might click back in my search and have a look at the suggested searches here. These are actual searches that are taking place right now on Google. I usually log out over here so that it doesn't remember any previous searches that I performed, but it doesn't matter if you are logged in either. It just might skew some of the searches if you've been doing similar searches on previous occasions. I could also put in the space bar and type in letters of the alphabet to see what else comes up as suggested searches. If I scroll down, often in a Google search, it says that people also search for these search terms as well. So family photographer near me, family photographer London, best family photographer. So those are keywords, these are key phrases that people are typing in. And if I want to know how many searches are taking place for these particular searches, I can basically put them into searchvolume.io. So these are the types of things that I might find down here. And essentially, I've said I want to know how many of these searches are taking place every month in the UK. I submit that and it tells me wedding photographer in London. There are about 3,600 searches taking place for that every month. 0 for this one. So I won't necessarily want to use this phrase in my website, but I might want to use family photographer London, and I might want to use wedding photographer London if that is indeed what I do. Answer the Public is a great tool. You can use it 3 times a day with a free account. I've got a paid account, so I'm just going to sign in. And again, I would type my search in. So I might put in family photographer. I'm looking in the United Kingdom again to see which searches are taking place in the UK. I'm checking on Google. So these are searches taking place on Google, but I've got a bunch of other options here if I wanted to see what searches were taking place on Instagram, for example. I'm going to click search and it tells me there are 8 searches. Why hire a family photographer? 10 searches a month. How to become a family photographer? How much does a family photographer make? How to be a family photographer? What is a family photographer? So in terms of adding search terms to your website, the ones like this one, what is a family photographer, would be well worth adding. Why hire a family photographer would be well worth adding. And then if you come down here, there's a bunch of other searches. Again, here, if you click on that, it will show you other searches that are taking place, comparisons, and here the alphabeticals, so the term family photographer with search terms beginning with A, B, C, and so on. And of course, we'll probably find if we come down to L, that some of them are, family photographer in London. Exactly what we found in searchvolume.io, about 480 searches a month. The cost per click, by the way, is where some photographers on Google are paying up to $1.39 for people to click through on their sponsored ads through to their website. And every time someone clicks, it's called pay-per-click. Every time someone clicks through, they pay this sum of money. Of course, it doesn't mean that people are going to buy their products. It doesn't mean that they're going to hire them as a photographer. It just means that they're likely to come up higher in a search. If these people were paying, it would say sponsored. And if I was to click through on one that says sponsored, the person whose website this is would be paying for me to click through. Now, once you've got a definitive list of the types of keywords you might want to use from something like searchvolume.io or from Answer the Public, you need to make a list of them and then look at opportunities to build those phrases into your website copy. For websites, there are some key things around search engine optimization that you need to know. Using the H1 style, the heading 1 style, is important in website copy. Format it as a heading 1 and use keywords in the headings. The titles of your pages should include keywords. You should have page descriptions. Where there are descriptions in the back end of your website, you should add keywords into the descriptions. And of course, keywords in the text itself that appears on the front end of the website. It's all about quality, not quantity anymore. The user experience on websites is key for search engines. You'll want to include calls to action. A call to action is telling people the action that you want them to take on your website. So you might say, contact us here, buy now, check out now, book your table here. You want links between your pages on your website. It's no longer recommended to repeat the keyword several times. In the old days, we would try to include the key phrase or the key words 2 or 3 times in the first sentence. The focus is now on high quality content because the algorithms that search engines have, like Google, are extremely sophisticated. They look for context, in other words, what your website is about. Absolutely amazing. Use your first sentence of your website copy to draw people in as quickly as possible. Set the scene in the first paragraph. Tell people that they've come to the right place. Make it clear that they're on a website where they can solve their problems. In the middle of your content, make sure that it's short sentences and short paragraphs, and use subheadings if you can. Subheadings again could include other keywords. Now, Google has an algorithm at the time of recording this video called BERT. And it's important that you keep up with all the content requirements that search engines like Google put in place. BERT is an algorithm that helps Google to understand the context of the words that people are typing into searches, and then better match those with queries and more relevant search results. Just as an example, before BERT came into operation, if someone was searching for 2019 Brazil traveller to USA needs a visa, Google wouldn't understand the importance of the word to and its relationship to the other words in the query. And so as a result, it would return results about citizens from the US travelling to Brazil rather than the other way round. So this was before BERT. After BERT was introduced, the results of that search are accurate, and it brings up tourism and visitor information for people travelling from Brazil to the USA, rather than the other way round. You can use your keywords or key phrases with synonyms and variations. If we were talking about photography, we might use the words image, portrait, snapshot, photo, mugshot, picture, snap. Those kinds of words all suggest photography and photograph. You might mention where you provide your products or services. You might say that you're in London, for example, or in the town where you live. You could also mention related products or services, but the most important thing is what information the audience was looking for when they searched in the first place. You want people to come to your website and know that they've come to the right place and that they're going to find the answer to what they were looking for. Co-occurrence is where words that often appear together suggest a relationship between them. We've got an example here of Africa, mammal, trunk. Of course, that suggests that we're talking about an elephant. With the term photograph, we could use words such as shoot, portfolio, camera, headshots. All of these words could be used together in a sentence to suggest we're talking about a photograph or a photographer. So we could use terms such as image, portrait, snapshot, photo, mugshot, picture, snap, shoot, portfolio, camera and headshots. All these words together suggest that we are talking about photography or photographs. It allows you to write natural content that reads well. It helps Google to understand what you're talking about, what you're writing about, and therefore it helps Google to match your website with relevant searches. When you're planning your website, think about what pages you should have. Look at other websites that are similar to yours, such as your competitors. See how many pages you need. Don't have too many pages if you don't need them. You will certainly need a home page, possibly an about page. Some people combine their home page with information about themselves. You will need a services page or product pages if you're selling products. And of course you will need a contact page so that people know how to get in touch with you. There are a few other important things that websites need, such as a cookie policy if you're collecting data such as analytics. If you have Google Analytics on your website and are tracking how much traffic comes to your website, where the traffic's coming from, you will need a cookie policy. If you're using built-in analytics in a system such as Wix and you're tracking the traffic via their analytics, again, you will still need a cookie policy. A privacy policy is about GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. This tells people if you're collecting their personal data, such as their first names, email addresses, home addresses, telephone numbers. This tells people why you collect their data, what you need their data for, how you will look after it, and you might even mention how often you remove data. Your website will have to have other information, such as your registration number if you're a limited company. This is usually accompanied with the phrase registered in England and Wales. You will have to have your address, an official address for your business, which may be your home address. If you don't want to use your home address, I highly recommend getting a registered office address. This is something you can actually buy from specific companies. You'll need an email address, and if you're VAT registered, you will need your VAT number on there. Make sure you use images on your websites that you're legally allowed to use. If you don't have your own images, which is the best thing you can possibly do, then find a site that has royalty-free images. Pixabay is a site that does have some free images. Check out the Pixabay content license. You want images that make your website stand out. So if you use stock images, make sure you rename them with keywords before you upload them to your website. Again, this will help your search engine optimization. There are tools that you can use to track your ranking. The Google Rank Checker is a Chrome extension, can be very, very useful. It will tell you where your website ranks on Google for the keywords that you've added to your website. Another tool to check out for search position is Ahrefs. Ahrefs is a paid system, but there is a very basic starter kit here, and using the starter version you can access information about keywords. This is a search engine optimization tool. Google Rank Checker is a Chrome extension. I've given you the link in the presentation to be able to go and install it. Once you've installed it, it will be up here. And when you click on this, you will see it's here. And as you can see, I've got a number of websites here. You would just add your website here. You would visit your website, essentially. So if I visit a website like this one, you can see they've got some keywords in here. Blackheath Wedding Photographer, Blackheath Wedding Photography. And if I go to the Google Rank Checker and I add this website, and then go to settings, make sure these are both switched on, you want to see if you are ranking for those keywords. In other words, when people type in the search terms that you added to your website, are you starting to come up in searches? So if I type in Blackheath Wedding Photographer, and as you can see, the website that I added, and in your case it would be your website, if the keywords are working and helping you come up in searches, it will show you, it will highlight where you rank, and it will also tell you what number you're ranking at. And in this case, this person, they would have gone off, researched their keywords, they've added them to their website, and they are now ranking number 1 in a search for Blackheath Wedding Photographer. And that's really what you want to aim for. Now, it doesn't always work instantly, and there might be some search terms that are more generic that you'll find it impossible to rank for, particularly if your competition is using pay-per-click. But that doesn't mean you don't add the keywords to your website, along with any others that you find when you're doing your keyword research. Writing website copy requires a strategy that meets the demands of people that are searching for what you do. In the old days, they used to advise people to stuff their websites with keywords. For example, I'm a photographer in London, Blackheath, Greenwich, Plumstead, Eltham. Websites that have keywords stuffed in them like that, they are now penalised in searches because the owners of those companies haven't kept up with Google's requirements. And with natural, fantastically written content, Google is more likely to present your website to people searching for what you do. Keep up to date with the requirements of the search engines. There's a link on the screen there to the BERT algorithm. Of course, these things are always updated on a regular basis. Make sure you don't miss any changes to Google's requirements so that your website and your website copy is always as good as it can possibly be. Thank you.